What is up, constant readers and bookworms? Welcome back to the channel. So it has been like 2 weeks since I posted a video. Let's call it technical difficulties. I've had a few issues. Right now my microphone went out, so I'm using the onboard mic on my Canon SL3. So hopefully the audio on this sounds good. I also had to replace a hard drive. I ordered that and it took Amazon forever for it to get here. So this video is going to be all about Andrzej Sapkowski's Blood of Elves. I finished it like a week and a half ago, I want to say. Maybe a little over, almost 2 weeks ago. Again, I had those technical difficulties, so I couldn't post a video about it. So this week I will be posting 2 videos. So what did I think about this one? Well, this is the first novel of the series. The 2 that precede this are short story collections. I did videos on those if you'd like to check them out. The first one, I believe it's only the first one, has audio issues because I had this terrible issue with getting the audio synced up with the video. But you can listen to it, it's out there. If I remember, I'll put a link up here to both of them or at the end of the video. So yeah, this one, it takes place like 3 years after Sword of Destiny, and this is the first novel in the series. I think I've showed this before. On the back here, it's labeled Witcher 1, but it's actually the 3rd book. I did start the next book, Time of Contempt. I'm about halfway through that one, and right off the bat, if you haven't read this series, if you're on the fence about it, I highly recommend it. I'm 3.5 books in, and it just gets better with every book. The first book is like an introduction to Geralt the Witcher. The second book deals more with some of the adventures he's had. And then like the second half of that book is all about him and Ciri, how they met, and her story, introducing her, which is a big deal because a lot of this book deals with Ciri. There's not a lot of Geralt in the book. He is in the book, but not near as much as Ciri and Yennefer. Now, I've heard people say that not a lot happens in this book, and I'm going to have to disagree with them because I feel like a lot happens in this book. This book is kind of laying the foundation and setting the stage for this bigger story to unfold. This is kind of like the pressure cooker, and you just know like all hell's gonna break loose and some serious shit is gonna go down. You just don't know when or how. And this sets everything up because there's so many things going on at once, but the way Sapkowski writes, it's not confusing. You start out, you get to learn a little bit more about Witchers. They introduced 3 new Witchers: Vesemir, Lambert, I forget the other guy's name. There's 3 new Witchers. They're all at Kaer Morhen, and you find out that something has went down at Kaer Morhen. It is kind of in ruins. They have all of these like alchemy labs where they made all the elixirs and potions that they would give trainees and turn them from human to Witcher. But the problem is all of the alchemists are gone, and none of the witchers know how to make any of these anymore. So they can't make any new witchers. Everything is going well for Ciri. They're giving her herbs and stuff to enhance her speed, her strength. But she starts having these strange visions and nightmares, and that concerns Geralt. He calls in a new character who's introduced, Triss Marigold, who's a sorceress who, no big surprise, has past relations with Geralt. And she quickly realizes that Ciri is more than just a girl with potential, that she could be this chosen one. And what she's going through is way beyond her ability to help with, and convinces Geralt that they need to get Yennefer involved, that Yennefer can handle it, take her to Nemiki, who, if you haven't read any of these other books, is another like sorceress. And so after the winter, they decide, Ciri needs this education and help and protection from the outside world, and Yennefer's help along with Nemiki and others, because while all this is going on, there's another sorcerer. I think the way you say his name is Rience. If that's wrong, correct me down in the comments. I think it's Rience. And he follows and tortures Dandelion because he wants to know the whereabouts of Ciri and the Witcher. And Dandelion is like the truest of true friends, loyal to the end. He basically is like, you're just going to have to kill me because I'm not telling you anything. And just as they're going to kill Dandelion, Yennefer shows up and saves his life, and casts a spell, like a fire spell on this other sorcerer, and it disfigures his face, but he escapes through this portal. We don't know who he's working for, why they want to kill Geralt or Ciri, but he is hunting both of them throughout the book. Then you also have this group of elves. I forget their name. Everybody calls them squirrels because they wear squirrels' tails in their hats. They are killing people along the roads that run through the woods. And they're labeled as a terrorist organization and need to be dealt with. Then on top of that, you have the Nilfgaardian army who is being introduced. They have pretty much steamrolled their way across the south and have taken over just everything. And now they're at this river that separates them from the north. And they can't figure out a way across this river. They have no access to the banks. Whenever this river floods, which it seems like it floods often, it's like over a mile wide. And so they're kind of at a standstill. And the city that's right on the edge, Sintra, is where Ciri is from. And it's rumored that everybody was killed by the Nilfgaardians. They were either killed by the Nilfgaardians or they committed suicide, but they're all dead. And then rumor gets out that Ciri did not die, that she escaped, and Geralt the Witcher is protecting her. So the kings in the north are worried about this because they think she could claim the throne and take back this important city. They don't want that to happen. They discuss marrying her to one of the kings, and they also know that Yennefer is involved. And so they finally decide that the Witcher must die, Ciri must die, but we're not going to do anything to Yennefer. So you have all this stuff going on at once, and the pressure is just building. And you really don't know, like, when is everything gonna explode, and what's the outcome gonna be, after all the dust settles. Again, this book, like the first two, it is beautifully written. There's a lot of dialogue still. There's more descriptive writing in this first novel and the one that I'm currently reading, and it's not overly done. There's still not a lot of world building, like I've said in the first two. There still is no like map in the book. You really don't know like where you're at, how far things are from each other. But that really doesn't bother me because the story is very easy to follow along and know what's going on. They do mention that some, the distance to some places, there's a point in the story where Ciri and Yennefer leave Nemiki's school, and Yennefer is going to take her to this more formal school where sorcerers and sorceresses are trained, and it's going to take, like 4 days to get there. So it's pretty far off. A lot of this book also deals with the training and the bond that is growing between Ciri and Yennefer. And that also opens up a better understanding of how the magic system in this world works. Overall, this is a solid 5 out of 5. There is just one thing, and it was hard to come up with one thing that I didn't like about the story. And I mean, it's a stretch. It's kind of first world problems, first world reader problems, if you will. The chapters in this book are extremely long, and the book that I'm currently reading now, the fourth book, it's the same way. And I mean, as far as the whole goes, if you have I set 2 hours a day to read books. And I read 2 different books at the same time. So 1 hour is set aside for one book, and then an hour before bed, I read the second book. And these chapters are anywhere from like 40 to 70 plus pages long. This book is less than 400 pages. It has 7 chapters. I think the longest chapter was like 72 pages. Most of the chapters, they take me around an hour to like an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. I think the longest chapter, it took like an hour and I think 25, hour and 30 minutes to read. So my complaint on that is, like, in between my classes, when I only have like 5 or 10 minutes to read, I have to stop in the middle of a chapter, and there's no chapter breaks. And I don't write in books or mark where I'm at. I just put my bookmark in, and when I pick it up, that's where the problem lies, because I always found myself reading what I'd already read, and so then I gotta scan ahead and be like, where did I leave off? That's really my only complaint with this book and the one that I'm reading, is these chapters are long. So just kind of be prepared for that if you don't set blocks of time to read. The font in this book is really big. I don't know if you can see that compared to the other books. And these books are easy to read. They're not overly complicated. You're not bombarded with places and names that are difficult to figure out how they're pronounced. It is a really good introduction into the fantasy series if you've never read a fantasy book before, or if you're someone like me who hasn't read the fantasy genre in years. It's a nice step back into the genre, and you're not bombarded with some of these really thick books like some of the other fantasy series like Wheel of Time or the Stormlight Archives. Those books are 6, 8, 9, 1,000 pages plus long. Malazan is another one. The books are extremely long, extremely thick. This is a nice series to get into if you're, just getting back into the genre, or if you've never read fantasy before and you're looking for a good entry point. I would definitely recommend this. That's all I have for you with this video. I will be posting another video shortly after this one. Make up for those 2 weeks that I was gone. Again, highly recommend the Witcher series. If you haven't seen any of my other videos on this series, definitely check them out. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you know when my new videos are coming out. And until next time, guys, read more books.